Greetings, this is Venger Satanis, Obsessimus of the Cthulhu cult. This is just going to be a brief primer, introduction on magic. Now, some of these things you've heard before. They're going to be very obvious to you. Some things you've probably never heard of, and then most things maybe you've heard of or tried once or twice, and then put it aside. So I advise you to explore any sort of topic or magical school or practice or paradigm on your own. Do your own research, see what works best for you. Every magician is unique, and so every magical practice or technique or style must be unique. By the way, I'm doing this video in little pieces because there's something up with my flip camcorder. Anyway, there's three different components to magic. There is intent, Gnosis, or awakening, and will. First one, intent, basically what do you want? What do you want to have happen? What is your will? And the second one, Gnosis, or awakening, that is coming to a place in your own head, in your own mental space, that takes you out of yourself, and yet makes you very self-aware and mindful of everything that's going on within you, without you. You're more in touch with objective reality, which is good because magic is kind of the juxtaposition between subjective and objective reality. The third one is will. Basically, this is the force, your own personal force or will force, pushing your intent out into the ether, out into the universe. Okay, now there are other factors that go into your magic that will also have an effect on the results. Intensity is one thing. Not only how much energy and emotion and whatever else you're putting into it at the time, but also intensity over a period of time. Say, if you're doing a slightly or moderately intense ritual for like 20 minutes on some particular evening, how does that differ from spending 5 minutes each day for 7 days straight? That sort of intensity, that sort of focus of concentration. That's what I'm talking about. Aesthetics, that could be anything from what your ritual chamber looks like, or you could be looking at some sort of symbol, or using a wand or talisman or a sword, something like that. What you're wearing, all those aesthetic considerations. Even the aesthetics of language is important. And of course, language in itself is important. Belief, very important. If you don't believe in the magic, it's not really going to work for you. So you got to invest a lot of your own emotional and intellectual and even physical, everything that is you, you've got to put into it. Your fellow travelers, other magicians, doing group rituals, that's one thing, but also being able to ask questions and discuss, with your peers, other magical techniques and things like that. Finally, real-world efforts. What are you doing in the real world to, as an auxiliary to what your ritual is about? So don't forget that, because if you're just sitting on your ass all the rest of the time and then doing magic like 30 minutes every week, you're not going to get many results, because you've got to do things in the real world as well. Okay, and finally, what does magic do? What happens when you complete a ritual or a ceremony or some sort of rite? Well, basically, from my point of view, the magician is nudging reality in a certain way. You're using your consciousness, your own, which works with your own desire and will, and basically you push what you want into the universe, or you overlay your subjective reality on top of objective reality, enough times and with enough focus and intensity and gnosis that they blur, and the two sort of form one, or form a mesh of some kind, and that mesh is your magical result. you know, are you guaranteed results 100% of the time? No. The full extent of your magic may not be portrayed in any specific ritual or something like that. And in fact, the magic might go completely opposite to the direction you wanted. But maybe that's because you didn't really know what you were asking for, or you didn't really realize that what you wanted over here is different than your true will or your true underlying goals over here, you know. And of course, magic, like all things, individuals, gods, whatever, are bound by certain laws. You can't just have, you know, carte blanche over all of reality, even as a magician. You've got to work within those laws, within those boundaries and restrictions and certain obstacles that you come across. That's just the way it goes. So hopefully I helped. Cthulhu Fatagan, and I'll catch you next time.